Good evening and welcome on this historic occasion, the first webinar that we have ever done at Iowa District West. My name is Reverend Mark Gerken and I serve Iowa District West in the areas of missions, human care, and stewardship. And it is in that last hat of stewardship why we are doing this evening. This webinar is sponsored by the Stewardship Committee. And why would they do that, you might ask? Well, that's because God has blessed us with so many financial blessings, but yet it can be a great trap and temptation as well. To be able to responsibly handle those blessings in a God-pleasing way is important. And we've got a resource in Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University that we want to share with you this evening that might be a great blessing to you, your congregation, and your community. But at the same time, with the other hats that I wear, it's important in the area of missions, because this can be a great way to begin to make a connection and build a bridge to your community, people for whom Jesus Christ died. And with my other hat of human care, it also provides the opportunity in a very practical way to show that you care, to show God's grace to those people who struggle with the same temptation and challenges as we all do in handling the financial resources that God has given to us. What's interesting is that with the Lutheran Church Extension Fund that provides demographics for us, in every community that they have surveyed or that they have demographics on, one of the top two concerns of individuals living in your community is financial, both the day-to-day as well as preparing and saving for retirement. If you are watching this live this evening, you will have an opportunity to ask questions. I believe it's at the bottom of your screen where you'll see a Q&A. You can just begin to type in your question. I'll receive those, and then later on at the end of the webinar, we'll have a chance to answer those. Also want to bring to your attention a resource that has been produced by our own Pastor Jonathan Connor of Zion Manning at the request of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. It's called Financial Peace University Preview and Review, which is exactly what it does. It kind of gives an overview of FPU, that's the abbreviation for Financial Peace University, and also answers some concerns that you might have from a theological perspective, offer some suggestions to help you as you offer this in your congregation and to your community. This is available both on our district website and the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod's website as well. At this time, let us begin with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, the giver of all that we have, we come before you this evening, thanking you for your presence here among us. We ask for your blessings and your guidance as we share about this resource that we have in FPU, that we might be able to utilize it within our congregations and communities to be a great blessing to many, that they can understand the proper way to handle those financial blessings and resources that you have given to them, that others might be served and you would be glorified. All of this in Christ's name we pray. Amen. Now it gives me a great pleasure at this time to introduce one of my partners here on the staff at Iowa District West, and that is Mrs. Rhonda Mohr, who serves as the Executive Assistant for Youth Education and Family Life. Ms. Rhonda Mohr, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Mark. One of the reasons that the Stewardship Committee asked for me to be involved in this is because I have a background in, not an FPU expert, but my congregation that I previously served at had multiple FPU classes. I attended, I went through the course. I also sat in a second time because you can do that after you take the course. You can sit in on the class as many times as you want. And I was involved in making sure we were offering the class. We actually offered it twice a year at our congregation in Texas. And it has been a blessing to me. It has helped me tremendously to change the course of where I was headed financially. And I just really can't say enough good things about this program. And in addition to that, it affects families, and family ministry is part of my role in the district. And so this has the opportunity to change families to be in a better state and to just affect them from generations to come. FPU, it's a 9-week course. It's DVD based. Dave does the teaching. There's 9 lessons that teach you to win with money. Participants learn how to master budgeting and save for emergencies and pay off debt. I have some slides prepared here for you that actually are prepared by financial peace. And these are some statistics. And as Mark pointed out, that the demographics show that finances are a big concern in communities, you're going to see why. Because as listed here in this slide, 76% of people live paycheck to paycheck. So you look in your congregation and you see 10 people, and 7 out of those 10, or 7.5 of them, are living paycheck to paycheck. Here's just some other statistics about consumer debt. The average consumer debt, look at this, $187,000 in mortgages. That's average consumer debt. Student loans. Students are coming out with approximately $30,000 in student loans. Auto loans that people are carrying, and the credit cards that debt that people are carrying. 64% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency. Their answer to taking care of an emergency is what? Grabbing the credit card and putting it on the credit card. And so these are some statistics. There's a few other things. I like this phrase that Dave Ramsey says: you will either learn to manage money, or the lack of it will always manage you. And one of the things you might want to propose to your people is, imagine if your kids never knew debt. And I think you all probably already know this, but maybe you don't, what the number one reason for divorce is. It's money. It's fights over money. And so you can see by these statistics, in using this program, if this program is going to help with attack these statistics and change this, then this program is good for the people that are going to be attending. Now, the program is built in there's out of the 9 lessons, the 9 weeks, you're going to hear Dave talk about 7 baby steps. And I just wanted to share a little bit about that. It's save $1,000 for emergency fund. Baby step 2 is have a debt snowball. Baby step 3 is then after you get rid of your debt, save 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund. Then step 4, invest 15%. So you're getting ready. You start for retirement early on by investing 15%. Save for your children's college if you have children. Pay off your home early, and then build wealth and give. So you're going to hear about those baby steps in the program. Why baby steps? Well, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so these steps have worked. A lot of people might try to, I'll do this one this way and kind of do it Dave-ish or Dave Ramsey-ish. And they aren't able to attack their debt and get through the baby steps as if they would if they followed the program step by step. There was one other thing I just wanted to say too. There was a podcast that I was recently listening to that was a Dave Ramsey podcast, and they shared another statistic. The average amount of money that a family spends on sports, that's involved with sports, $652 a month. That's probably not surprising to you. We're going to head back to the slideshow here. Important things to consider as you look at doing this in your congregation. Who will be the class leader? The class leader could be an individual, or it could be a couple that lead the class, but they need to be committed to leading the class for 9 weeks. They don't have to be a financial expert or have all their finances in order, but they need to be willing to go through this program and follow the plan and be an advocate for following the plan. And really what you are is you're committed to helping people make changes in their life financially. And one of the things for your people that sign up for this class could be across the spectrum. They could be feeling hopeless and wondering how they're ever going to get out of debt, or they could be pretty good financially. There's still things in this course that they could learn. So you're going to have people all across the spectrum, but especially for those that feel like they're climbing a mountain they don't know they're going to get to the top of, you're wanting to offer them hope, because there is hope and they can become debt-free. The other thing you need to consider is when, where, and what are your class needs. So as you look at your class size, and actually the average class size I think is 12 people, which would be 6 couples, but you're going to have single people that will attend your class. But the average class size is anywhere from 12 to 24. But you need to think about what your class needs are. You need a TV, ability to play the DVDs. You want good people able to hear. You just want your classroom to really be set up for a positive experience for these folks, and good technology, not having problems with the DVD player or the computer, whatever you're using to show the DVDs. And then, will you offer free childcare? This is something I would advise you to do, and find at least 2 people to be watching the children. Now, you can offer it, and in some cases, people don't need it. And so you would know based on the sign-up sheet whether you needed to have childcare or not. But what that does for young parents is it takes away an obstacle that they may have for them to attend. And then you want to think about, how will you get the word out to your church and to your community, and let people know that you're offering this course. A few personal recommendations I have for promotion and advertising, in your bulletin. Of course, have an announcement, but hang posters in the community. Contact churches that are in your circuit if they're not offering it, to promote, and ask them to be an advocate for your course. Or maybe the class leader will attend another church in the circuit, and you'll have the opportunity to make an announcement, answer questions. Really, there's a variety of ways you can do this, but I will say, the more you put into advertising this and communicating what this class can do for people, the better your chances are of having good class attendance. They're going to give you all the tools, and I'm going to go to that here now. I'm going to take you to the website. So daveramsey.com is where you're going to want to go once you decide when you're going to have your class. And you're going to go to classes, which is this tab right here. Okay. A little bit of a problem here. Let's see. Let me get out of the PowerPoint. Okay. DaveRamsey.com. Let's try this again. You'll see on this 4th tab over, it says Classes, Financial Peace University then, and Individuals and Families. And underneath that, you see Lead a Class. This is how you're going to register your class with Financial Peace University. And you really want to do that because that's what you need to do to have the class. And it's going to hook you up with an advisor for you that is going to do way more than what Mark and I are doing tonight. But as you see here, it says, help people win with money, lead a Financial Peace University group. Now, I've coordinated the class already once, so I would say I would click on already a coordinator, but most of you that will be watching this are just getting started. But if you scroll down on this page, you'll also see other things. Lead a class on your schedule. You pick the time, you pick the date, you pick the place. Everything you need to lead a class, you're going to receive. You'll already have your kit, so you won't need to order that, and you'll let them know that. But then we've got your back. You don't have to go it alone. One of our advisors will guide you through the entire process. And that's your person. I had a lady by the name of Gwen. Gwen, if I had questions on promoting my class, Gwen directed me. She sent me things that I needed. You can also see what other coordinators are saying and ready to get started. So when you click on this, the Get Started, you'll type in your name, so forth and so on, and they will be giving you a call. That needs to be your coordinator, the person coordinating the class, really should be that person. Because if you have, let's say someone else does all that and they're not teaching the class, that could work, but ideally you'd want the person coordinating the class to be the one that's doing all the communicating with Ramsey Solutions. All right. Now, the next place I want to take you is just what it looks like when you become the coordinator and you hear from them. You will be given a link. And once again, this doesn't happen automatically. You'll get an email from the coordinator. And if you notice on here, it shows Financial Peace University. It shows when my class is going to be. And of course, it was this last winter. It was January 15th through April 2nd. You might, when the weeks that you choose, if you have to extend it longer than the 9-week class, because let's say there's a holiday in the middle of it, then you just assign that date, like we're off this date and we're going to have it here. You'll notice on the right-hand side here, my class schedule was, and these are the titles of each of the classes, and it gave the date. And you see this edit button? You can go in and edit if you need to change when your classes are going to be. And the reason that's important is, and the coordinator would tell you this anyway, but every time after class, like for instance, after my Monday night, January 15th class, on Tuesday, everybody in my class got an email. So everyone in the class is registered to attend. The coordinator will, or your stewardship advisor will go through all of that with you. But they'll get an email. You're going to be able to easily email everybody any information. Now on this left-hand side, you'll see there's also information on how to promote the class. Everything, it's just spelled out for you here. It's wonderful. 6 to 8 weeks before the class, your key promotion steps, going on down, social post. They've got these little videos that you can use and download if you have AV capability at your congregation to share that on a Sunday morning. They have social posts put on your church Facebook page. And by the way, when you use Facebook to advertise this, ask your members to share it on their timelines, because that opens to their circle of friends outside your church. That's one of the ways, as Mark was talking about, when you want to share it with your community. Some of those slides that I shared or information that I shared are on some of these slides that are on this. But they provide you everything you need to have a successful class. You just need to read it, carry it out, and follow through with all those things. Once again, that stewardship advisor is going to be key. The other thing I want to share too is, and with you is, if you're unfamiliar with Dave Ramsey, or if you're a coordinator that you decide to lead, he has a YouTube, lots of videos you could watch there. He has a podcast. I would encourage that you or your coordinator start listening to him and familiarizing yourself with his teaching. He's engaging. He's humorous. He's Christ-centered. And his whole reason he's doing this is because he was broke. He went bankrupt at one time. And now, of course, he's very successful, but he's successful because he's helping people. And so now I'd open it up for any questions that might have come up in the time.
We don't have any questions yet that I can see.
Okay.
So you must be covering it all well.
Let me just glance and see if there's anything else that I wanted to. Oh, here's another thing that I did not mention that I think would be good to do when you promote this in your congregation. I would take my kit, as we have displayed here, and I would have it on a table, set up a nice display table with a tablecloth, have the kit there, have a sign-up sheet. But just because they sign up on the sign-up sheet doesn't mean they're registered, because they have to physically go to the website and register. I would be there and have somebody there to answer questions or take their questions, because having a man table is way better than just having a display. Okay, we did have a question?
Yes, we do have a question from Angela, and she wants to know, how far in advance should you have the class scheduled?
Well,
good question.
That is a very good question, and I'm glad you asked that, Angela, because you see what the promotional steps are. Jason, if you could take us back and put us on my screen. Okay, thank you. 6 to 8 weeks before a class starts, you start these promotional steps. So 2 weeks prior is not the time you start, let's start the class in 2 weeks. So you should know at least, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks in advance, and then you start. And so you need to have signed up and talked with your coordinator on the Ramsey website before that time. And they're going to help you. One of the things I appreciated about Gwen, the gal that I worked with, is when I threw out a night of the week that I was going to do it, she said, I can just share. You can do it when you want, but she said, I can share with you that is not typically when they have a class, and they have found that is not, that night of the week or that afternoon is not highly responded to. So they have a wealth of knowledge, of experience, of best practices that they can share with you. That's why that coordinator, or that partner that you have with Ramsey Solutions, is so important.
Okay, a couple of follow-up questions to that then also. She wants to know, what is a good number of participants to have attend? And does the leader of the class need to be someone who has previously attended?
The leader does not have to have previously attended. In the leader's guide, it tells you everything to say. Is there an advantage if you've been through the class already? Most certainly, but it's not a requirement. The ideal number of people to attend, you would want to have at least 4 to 5 couples there, because really some people can't make it. And then if you only have 1 couple there or 2 couples there, it just can get awkward, because there is a little sharing. Oh, I had somebody ask one time if they had to divulge any personal information where they were financially. No, but there is a snapshot taken. There's a card in their book that they fill out, how much debt they have, how many credit cards they have, but that's all anonymous. There's no names connected with it. And that snapshot is taken at the beginning of class, and then it's taken again at the end of class, because there's usually a good swing of people by the end of the class. And typically, and this is not why we're doing it, but it is a result. Typically, you see a change in people's giving, because they're just managing their money better, and they tend to increase their giving, I mean, just imagine if every member of our congregation was debt-free, and they were able to support the mission of God. But that's not the number one reason we're doing this, but it is a result of what can happen when people get their finances in order and they're not stressed.
And, one of the main reasons that we are offering this is trying to reach out to people in the community and show that we care about them. And if this is an issue that many people in our communities are dealing with, how can we come alongside and provide some very practical guidance as well as some wisdom from God's words to help them? And Rhonda's already touched upon a couple of ways to make sure that you are intentional, and that's the key word, intentional about reaching out to your community. Publicity is important. She talked about a number of ways. You might also look at the cable channels, perhaps public access channels that are available in your community.
That's a great idea.
A community Facebook page. I know our community in which I live also has a weekly newsletter. Actually, it's put out twice a week. We put in a free advertisement for anything, and it's circulated in all the local businesses. She also mentioned already the child care. And something that some of our congregations that have already done this have considered or utilized is also possibly offering a meal again beforehand, again, to remove a possible barrier that might keep someone from participating. Another interesting idea, which
Mark, can I say something about that?
Sure.
Don't be afraid to allow people to just eat their supper while you're watching the video, because there's a very small intro, and then you get that the coordinator talks, but most of the evening is Dave's presentation. So feel free, if you offer a meal, go ahead and start, because one thing I didn't mention is your time shouldn't go longer than an hour and a half. It's kind of set up to be 90 minutes, and so start on time and end on time.
Okay. Important to keep in mind. And two other things that I wanted to share. Number one is some congregations have considered offering scholarships to help people attend. And it's also important, though, to make sure that those participants do have some skin in the game, that they contribute to the participants kit that every individual or couple needs to have, which I believe is normally anywhere from $99 to $129 for the cost of that kit.
It might be as much as $145, but
yeah.
They have, this is key to look for sales. And about that, you need to make a decision. How are we going to do this? Are we just going to ask everybody to purchase their own kit? Or as a congregation, are we going to order 5-6 kits and have them available and have them purchase us from them? And that's where that scholarship can come in. Then you would only, let's say of someone that needs a little help with theirs, then you'd say, obviously you wouldn't publicize this, but you would say, okay, yours is $50. We're covering the rest of the cost.
But it is important for them to at least have some kind of commitment, financial commitment into that. And as congregations have tried to do this, some of them have taken a door offering to allow for that. Some have approached individual members and asked them if they would be willing to partially sponsor a participant in the class. Creative ways that you can look around to provide the funding for that. And some congregations just provide it straight out of their budget, perhaps as a form of outreach. But it's important as you do this, I would encourage you to make sure that you realize that you're tying it in with your mission, that your people understand that we are doing this because Christ calls upon us to let our light shine and to show love to our neighbor. And here's one very practical way that we can do that. And of course, nothing is more important than personal invitation. If you know of someone that you think could benefit from this class or that would appreciate participating, personally invite them to come, and if possible, that you can maybe participate with them alongside them so they've got a friend involved with that. One of the viewers did send in the question wondering about the cost for the congregation, and is there also a cost for each participant, which we kind of have touched on a little bit. I don't know if there's anything further you'd want to add.
There's no cost for the congregation because the district has purchased your kit for you, your leadership kit. And with that leadership kit, go ahead.
Put a little asterisk on that. We provided 15 kits to 15 congregations that were interested in doing so.
Oh.
14 of those have been spoken for. We do have one last leadership kit available to the first congregation that contacts us. To be eligible to receive that free leadership kit, you have to commit to offering this more than just once, that you're going to offer it several times, and you're going to be intentional about seeking to invite community participation in that. So that's all that's necessary. You just need to contact us, and once you have identified the approximate time when you're going to offer the class, let us know that. We will send you the kit, notify Financial Peace University Dave Ramsey, to whom we have given the kit, and they'll get in touch with you and start lining up that stewardship advisor to help walk you through everything that's necessary.
And the other thing they can do is once they have the kit, they can go to start a class too, and they could be assigned someone, unless there's another way they're doing that. If you would purchase the kit, those also, it varies when they're on sale, but that's a little bit more pricey. It's a little over $200.
$279.
$279, but they offer sales. Gosh, they throw them out several times during the year. The participant kit, and that people need to know that up front, that there's a cost to the class. Now if your congregation can, has money in the budget, which is always difficult because there's usually not extra money sitting around, but as Mark said, finding sponsors or people that want a scholarship, you could purchase them and then offer them at a reduced rate. The one thing I do want to tell you is, as you go to Dave Ramsey's website, when you purchase anything, it has to be a debit card, or you can use PayPal, but you can't use a credit card on Dave Ramsey's website to buy anything because he doesn't believe in credit cards. And so please keep that in mind. If you have a member that says, I wanted to buy and I can't with my credit card, you need to make sure they know about that or share with them. You can use a debit card, or maybe those are those people that you want to say, if you need some assistance, the church will buy it and then you can pay us a certain amount. But you need to decide that with, as a pastor and your leadership people, your finance people, how you want to do that. You do have to put some thought into that so that you're prepared for those questions and for people that may not be able to afford to take it. But they're not going to, there's so much good in this program that it's an investment, but it's an investment to change people's lives.
I overlooked something important. The fact that the district was able to provide, and we got them at a sale price, I might point out, the leadership kits to those 15 congregations. That was all made possible because of our partnership with the Lutheran Church Extension Fund. They had some operating results that they returned back to the district to be able to use in various aspects of ministry. And so that enabled us to purchase these kits and make them available to our congregations. Anything else that you want to cover, Rhonda, before we close?
Just don't be afraid to ask questions, and really your coordinator that you would be assigned, but would be the key person that knows more and can direct you more than I can. But as you're considering or getting started, or before you pull the trigger, so to speak, if you want to ask questions, don't be afraid to ask. There's congregations that you may want to, that have used it, that you may want to connect with. One of those would be Pastor Connor at Zion Manning. You could contact him. I didn't ask him if I could say that, but I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions. I know that Gloria Day down in Urbandale has a pretty regular routine.
So does Faith Adele.
Faith Adele. And so these congregations that have had a practice of using it, and typically these congregations are offering it at least once a year. In some cases, they might have a January class and a September class. But as you look at when you're going to schedule that, and this thought just came to my mind, you want to make sure, like, okay, this is obvious, but I'm going to say it. You don't want to start your class in mid-November and have it go through Christmas and New Year's. You do want to offer your class where there's not going to be a huge interruption in it because of holidays or anything, that you have 9 weeks that can pretty much be in a row. I did have somebody ask me if you could like do a crash course in a week and offer them, and that's not the way this is set up. You want it over time. So because there's homework each week that they work on, and it's a process over that 9-week period of time.
We were talking about other congregations, and you can also, on their website, there's a place where you can type in any particular location, and it will show you where the classes are being offered or where they've been offered in the past as well. So,
Mark, I'm glad you brought that up, because when you register your class, when anybody in your community, or like, let's say, even say 50-mile radius, people could be searching for, okay, I just heard about financial peace. I wonder if there's a class in our area. You will pop up. The class at your congregation will pop up as a choice. And the information, the time that the class is, where it's located, and a map that's all done by Ramsey Solutions.
well, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you, Rhonda, for sharing some of your experience and wisdom with us. I also want to express our thanks to Jason Fuller, our IT specialist here at the district, who got this all set up and figured out the software and everything for us. And I want to thank you for your interest in loving your neighbors and your congregation and in your community. And we would love to hear your stories of how the experience goes. And if there's any way that we can support or help you as well, by all means, don't hesitate to contact us. But we wish God's richest blessings upon you as you let your light shine in your community. Thank you for your interest in this.